Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking through 10 anticipated releases for January, February and March of 2022. So I started looking at what was coming out and then I got really excited because there's so many books coming out already again. Like, it's constant these releases that are coming out. I have done these anticipated releases videos looking at 10 anticipated releases for the next 3 months throughout 2021. And so I thought I would continue doing this quarterly through 2022. So starting off on the 4th of January, The Ivory Key by Akshaya Raman is coming out. Sorry if I've mispronounced that. I heard about this from S.A. Chakraborty, so one of my favourite authors, and I think she read this and loved this, which is just a makes me really interested in it automatically. This is sort of Middle Eastern inspired, which is what has prompted me again, because I loved the Date trilogy, which was Middle Eastern inspired, so that inspiration here as well makes me really interested in it. But I believe this one is YA. Magic, a prized resource, is the only thing between peace and war. Where magic runs out, 4 estranged royal siblings must find a new source before their country is swallowed by invading forces. The first it's an Indian inspired duology. So I'm not going to read too much into the plot, like aside from that like snippet. But that sounds really, really interesting. I mean, it's a YA fantasy with magic and Indian inspired, and S.A. Chakraborty recommends it. Like, I think that's all I really need to know. Next, on the 11th of January, Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan comes out. This one is a Chinese inspired fantasy duology. So obviously it is the year for, well, maybe January is the month for the starts of fantasy duologies that are inspired by non-Western stories. So this one is a captivating debut fantasy inspired by the legend of Chang'e, the Chinese moon goddess, in which a young woman's quest to free her mother pits her against the most powerful immortal in the realm. This one, I'm not gonna lie, I was sucked in by the cover. Like, it is stunning. Both the US and the UK one have stunning covers, like absolutely stunning covers. So that definitely has influenced me. I know they should say don't judge a book by its cover, but when a book has a really pretty cover, it really sucks me in. So Daughter of the Moon Goddess begins an enchanting romantic duology which weaves ancient Chinese mythology into a sweeping adventure of immortals and magic, where love vies with honour, dreams are fought with betrayal, and hope emerges triumphant. So hopefully I love that one. And then the final January release that I have noted down is The Red Palace by June He. I have not read any of June's previous books, but I know that she has had a few out now. And they're all sort of murder mysteries, I believe, that are focused on like a historical setting in South Korea. I have generally heard really positive things about those books. The Red Palace sounds really, really interesting to me. And it says that it is 1758 Korea. There are a few options available to illegitimate daughters in the capital city, but through hard work and study, 18-year-old Hyun has earned a position as a palace nurse. All she wants is to keep her head down, do a good job, and perhaps finally win her estranged father's approval. But Hyun is suddenly thrust into the dark and dangerous world of court politics when someone murders 4 women in a single night. So I feel like I'm going to really like that setting. I really love court politics. So I feel like it's not a fantasy because it's historical, but it's going to have like that court politics element that I really like, combined with a mystery. I sense that I'm really going to like it. I sense it. And it's a bit sort of outside of my normal thing, but it just sounds so good. It sounds so good. And I know that my friend Charmaine, who has a bookstagram, she has really liked June He's other books. So I feel like I trust that June He will probably be good. February. So February, one of my most anticipated releases comes out, and that is House of Sky and Breath, the second book in the Crescent City series by Sarah J Maas. If you don't know, I love everything that Sarah J Maas has written. I've been reading her books for many, many years, and I just find them so enjoyable. Like the fantasy, the romance, like that combination, I just find them so fun and enjoyable. I think a lot of people do. Like, her books are very widely read, but I continue to really enjoy them. I loved House of Earth and Blood when it came out last year, 2020, and I definitely plan to reread that in January in preparation for the second book. and have everything really fresh in my head. I'm so ready to be like sucked back into that world and just experience those characters and the magic and the romance again. Like, I'm just ready. I'm ready for it. I feel like I don't really need to give much preamble on what a Sarah J Maas book is about. This series is sort of urban fantasy set in a city. You've got lots of magical creatures. The first book has a bit of a murder mystery sort of focus on it, but I mean, it's a combination of fantasy and romance, and if that's your thing, then you will probably really like it. This is her most, I'd say, fantasy series, and that it is the most adult of her series. So if you are a predominantly fantasy reader, then this might be the best place to go if you haven't read any Sarah J Maas. Also on the 15th is A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. Actually, this is marketed as House of Earth and Blood, so Sarah J Maas meets The Witch's Heart, which I have not read. And I haven't read any Rebecca Ross's other books. This is saying that it's her adult debut, so maybe she has some YA books, but this is an adult debut. I've heard that this is Scottish inspired and focus on like Scotland mythology, or set in a sort of Scottish Highlands type, Scottish influences. And it's like an enchanted isle that can change its landscape. Two chartered enemies must team up to discover why girls are going missing with their clan. With unforgettable characters, a fast-paced plot and a compelling world building, A River Enchanted is a stirring story of duty, love and power, of true partnerships, and marks Rebecca Ross's brilliant entry on the adult fantasy stage. So I just think like the setting is what drew me to this one, like that Scottish island and the sort of this magical island. That one as well. I'm not sure if this is a series or a standalone. I am not too sure. It doesn't say. Next, on the 24th of February is The Justice of Kings by Richard Swan. I have an arc of this that I was sent very kindly by Orbit the publisher in preparation for its release, so I'm definitely going to be reading it before its release. This is the first book in a fantasy trilogy, I believe, and you are following Sir Conrad von Walt, who is a justice, a judge, jury and executioner all in one. He is sworn to travel the empire and uphold the law by way of his sharp intellect, arcane powers and skill as a swordsman. Yet these are dangerous times. When I read that back, I was like, this is an Alan book from the Library of Alexandria. I could sense that this is going to be the book for him and for people that love the Greatcoats. These are assumptions that I have not read this yet, but that is assumptions of it going in. I feel like that's who it is going to be for. So me and Alan, I think, are going to buddy read this in January potentially, and hopefully we will both love it. I'm really excited. I think people that have already read this, they have really liked it. So, and I trust in Orbit. Orbit generally have put out some books that I absolutely loved. So I really hope I like this. And then also in February, but also it's sort of like throughout the first half of the year, is Ali Hazelwood, who wrote The Love Hypothesis, has 3 novellas coming out. The first one comes out in February, and then I think it's February, March, April maybe, they're coming out on audiobooks, and then later on in the year they're coming out as ebooks. They're all separate novellas following different characters. They all sound really cute. I mean, the reason, I haven't really looked into the plots of these, but the reason I have these on my anticipated releases is because I loved The Love Hypothesis. I just found it such an adorable, cute romance. Like, I was sucked in, I was addicted, I was just loving it. So I now want to read everything Ali Hazelwood puts out. So as she has these novellas coming out, I'm definitely going to read them. She has a full novel coming out later on in the year, but as she writes things, I'm going to read them because I loved The Love Hypothesis. Okay, and then moving into March, on the 1st of March, The River of Silver, Tales from the Day of Bad trilogy by S.A. Chakraborty is coming out. So these are short stories set in the same world as the Day of Bad trilogy. If you didn't know, I love the Day of Bad trilogy. It is one of my all-time favourite trilogies. I love it. I love that trilogy. I will read everything and anything S.A. Chakraborty writes. So I will definitely be reading this. Annoyingly, I believe that this is coming out as an Audible exclusive, only as an audiobook on the 1st of March. And I am much more of a physical reader. I much prefer to read things with my eyes, especially fantasy. So I think it is going to be published as a book, but it's coming out first as an audiobook. So we will see if I read it on the 1st of March as an audiobook or if I delay and wait until there is a physical publication of it. but these are all stories set within that world. I think some of them are set within that David Bad trilogy, like they are scenes that were from within that timeline, and then I think some are also from like before the David Bad trilogy started and some are afterwards, following different characters. So that's my expectations going into it. I don't really need like to know anything else, because that's all I need to know before picking up a book by S.H. Chakraborty. And then on the 15th of March, The War of Two Queens comes out by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the 4th book in the From Blood and Ash series, which I have been reading. I've read the 3 published books. I have not read the spin-off book, which is, well, the first book in the spin-off series. I've not read that, which came out in October. But this is the 4th book in the From Blood and Ash series. And I don't know if I'm going to read this one straight away, but I'm still anticipating its release. And I definitely do plan to keep going with the series, but maybe not straight away. Due to my disappointment with the 3rd book, I just found it quite a bit of a slog. So I definitely want to see what reviews are like for this 4th book, and whether people that had similar feelings to me on the 3rd book like it or not. If you don't know, the From Blood and Ash series is a fantasy romance series following Poppy and Hawke. And Poppy, at the beginning of the book, she has been sort of secluded her whole life, as she is deemed by the monarchy that she has these powers, and at her 18th birthday they're going to come into fruition. In this world there are these creatures called the Craven, which are sort of wreaking havoc upon the world. So that it has these elements of fantasy and romance, and that sort of combined together, which I really, really enjoy. I did find the 3rd book to be a bit of a struggle in the middle. It needed a bit of editing. That's why I'm a bit more hesitant on this one, but I do definitely want to see what reviews are like and see how people feel about it. And then the final book on this list is Gallant by V.E. Schwab, which again comes out, I thought I wrote 15th of March. This comes out on the 1st of March. Sorry, my dates have gone a bit out of order. I haven't looked too much into the plot. I've just seen V.E. Schwab, and I have really, really enjoyed V.E. Schwab's previous works. So I feel like it's she's an auto-bi-author for me, whatever she publishes. The quick tagline is, "Everything casts a shadow, even the world we live in. And as with every shadow, there is a place where it must touch, a seam where the shadow meets its source." Victoria Schwab weaves a dark and original tale about the place where the world meets its shadow and the young woman beckoned by both sides. The Secret Garden meets Crimson Peak in this standalone novel, perfect for readers of Holly Black and Neil Gaiman. And then it continues with Victoria Schwab crafts a vivid and lush novel that grapples with the demons that are often locked behind closed doors, an eerie standalone saga about life, death, and the young woman beckoned by both. So, and actually it's tagged as being fantasy and then horror, so that's really interesting. I don't think she's really written a horror before, so that's interesting. And standalone. I enjoy having some standalones. It's nice having some standalones around to intersperse between all the series that I like to read. Those are 10 anticipated releases that I have for the first 3 months of 2022. Granted, there are probably going to be so many other books that I was not aware of when I filmed this. I'm going to come back to this and be like, oh my god, how did I not know about this book? How did I not know about this book? But there are 10. My aim is to keep this list at 10. I feel like that's a slightly reasonable number, even if I can't get to all 10 of them. But let me know if there are any books that you are really anticipating for January, February and March. If I've missed anything off that you're like, Abby, how did you forget about this one? Or if I've highlighted some books that you haven't heard of and now that you think sound really, really interesting. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!